You ever had a man suddenly go quiet on you? One day he's calling you good morning, good night, talking about how much he likes you, and then boom, he's distant. You sitting there thinking, what did I do wrong? You were playing every text, every call, every emoji. But let me tell you something. Sometimes it's not about what you did wrong. Sometimes it's about what you did right. You hit a nerve. You touched something in that man he didn't even know was still alive. When a man pulls back, it's not always rejection, it's reflection. See, most people don't understand that silence can be loud and distance can speak volumes. A man doesn't always walk away because he's done. Sometimes he steps back because he's thinking, he's evaluating, and he's trying to understand what he's feeling. When a woman touches a man's emotions deeply, it shakes something in him that logic can't explain. Men are taught to stay strong, to hide vulnerability, to play it cool. But when his heart starts speaking louder than his mind, that's when he gets quiet. He's not ignoring you. He's trying to figure you out. He's not rejecting you. He's reflecting on what this connection means to him and what it's doing to him on the inside. When a man starts pulling back, most women panic. They start asking questions, wondering what went wrong, replaying conversations in their heads, and doubting themselves. But what you don't realize is sometimes that silence is his process. You moved him, you triggered something in him that feels new, and he's trying to decide what to do with it. He's not used to emotions that make him question his habits, his control, his plans. You made him feel something that shakes up his routine, and men don't like losing control of their emotions. That's why he steps away, not to lose you, but to find himself again. A man who's truly done doesn't need to think. He leaves, he blocks, he disappears. But when a man is reflecting, he lingers, he watches from a distance, he still checks your profile, he still remembers your words. He's sitting with your memory, trying to figure out why he can't stop thinking about you. That's not rejection, that's realization. He's realizing he might actually care more than he wanted to. He's realizing you've become a part of his thoughts, his mornings, his nights. And when that happens, he goes silent not to escape, but to process the weight of it. See, men aren't always emotional out loud. Their emotions are internal storms. When something hits them deeply, they don't cry about it right away. They go quiet. They analyze, they replay moments. They ask themselves questions they don't want to face. Why do I miss her? Why am I thinking about her this much? Why do I care? And the more he tries to find logic, the more confused he gets. Because love doesn't make sense to a man who's been taught to stay guarded. That distance is not always the end. It's the pause before understanding. He's not running away from you. He's running into himself. He's questioning his patterns, his fears, his readiness. He's asking himself whether he can handle something real because real love exposes the parts of him he's hidden for years. It demands honesty, effort, and emotional presence. That's why some men step back when things get real, not because they don't feel, but because they feel too much. When a man reflects, he starts remembering the details he once overlooked. The way you laughed at something simple, the way you spoke your mind, the way your silence carried peace. Those small things become big when he's away from them. He starts realizing that what he had with you is different, not loud, but deep. That's when he begins to miss your energy, not your attention. Because when a woman impacts a man's soul, he doesn't just miss her body, he misses her essence. And you, as a woman, must understand that this space he's taking is not always about losing interest. It's about understanding his own emotions. If you chase him during that process, he may pull back further, not because he doesn't want you, but because he's not ready to explain what he hasn't figured out yet. Let him reflect. Let him feel the absence. Let him sit in that silence long enough to recognize what your presence meant. Because if you truly reached his heart, that distance will teach him something no conversation can. Sometimes reflection looks like confusion. He might text you less, respond slower, seem distracted. But deep down, he's battling himself. One side tells him to stay cool, keep it casual, don't catch feelings. The other side is whispering that he already did. That's the war between pride and vulnerability. You're watching him from the outside thinking he doesn't care, but inside, he's wrestling with emotions he doesn't want to name. Every man who's ever loved deeply has gone through this phase. The pullback, the pause, the reflection. Because love makes a man face his truth. It makes him realize his ego can't protect him forever. It makes him confront the parts of himself that run from commitment, from honesty, from softness. And when a man starts reflecting, it's the beginning of his emotional growth. You become the mirror that shows him who he is and what he truly wants. So when you see him pull back, don't panic, don't chase. Don't question your worth. Instead, understand that something about you made him stop and think. You made him look at love differently. You made him feel something real. He's not gone. He's in deep thought. He's sitting with the feeling of you, with the impact of your presence, trying to decide how to move forward. And that's powerful, because when a man reflects, he's not walking away from love. He's learning how to handle it. Sometimes silence isn't distance. It's the sound of realization. When he pulls back, he's not closing the door. He's figuring out how to walk through it without fear. And if you've truly touched his heart, trust me, when he's done reflecting, he'll come back not as the same man, but as a man who finally understands why he couldn't forget you even when he tried. A distant man with consistent behavior is a man fighting his feelings. You see, when a man truly doesn't care, he disappears. He cuts off communication. He stops checking on you. He doesn't text. He doesn't watch your stories. And he definitely doesn't show up. But when a man acts cold yet still keeps showing up in small ways, that's not confusion, that's conflict. That's a man in a silent battle between what he feels and what he's trying not to feel. He's telling himself to move on, but something in him keeps pulling him back to you. That's not weakness, that's emotion. He's trying to protect his pride while his heart keeps snitching on him through his actions. He might not say it, but you'll see it in the way he still remembers the little things about you. You'll notice how he still reacts to your name, how he still checks your page late at night, how he watches without speaking. He acts like he's detached, but he's still connected in every way that matters. When a man is fighting his feelings, his words and his actions don't match. He'll talk like he's over you, but his behavior keeps betraying him. He'll say he doesn't care, but he'll still notice when you pull back. He'll say he's busy, but he'll still find time to keep tabs on you. That's because his heart isn't aligned with his ego, and his ego hates that. See, most men aren't taught how to deal with emotions. They're taught how to hide them. They're told to be strong, to never show vulnerability, to keep their cool. So when a man catches real feelings, his first instinct is to pull away, not because he doesn't like you, but because he's afraid of how much he does. He's scared of what those feelings might cost him. His peace, his control, his image. And so he puts up this wall, this mask of indifference. But that consistency you see, that pattern of still checking in, still hovering around your life, that's the truth leaking through the cracks in his pride. When a man is fighting his emotions, his distance isn't rejection, it's resistance. He's resisting the pull of something that feels bigger than his comfort zone. He's trying to stay logical about something that's already emotional. You ever notice how he tries to act like he's fine, but he gets quiet when you mention moving on? That's not confidence, that's discomfort. Because deep down, he knows he still cares, and caring makes him vulnerable. It makes him feel out of control. That's why he acts distant, to convince himself he's still in charge. But love doesn't ask for permission. Once it gets in, it starts changing the way he thinks, the way he feels, the way he moves. You'll know a man is fighting his feelings when his effort shows up in contradictions. He won't call, but he'll still care who you talk to. He won't text first, but he'll reply faster than usual when you do. He won't say he misses you, but he'll bring up old memories just to feel close to you again. He won't admit it, but everything he does screams he's not over you. That's the mark of a man at war with himself. His actions show love while his words show distance. And that war isn't easy for him because his heart and mind are pulling him in two directions. When he's fighting his feelings, you'll feel it too. The energy changes. You'll sense that hesitation, that emotional push and pull. One day he's soft, the next day he's cold. It's not because he's playing games. It's because he's struggling to accept the depth of what he feels. He's scared of falling too hard, scared of losing control, scared of needing someone. So he tries to suppress it, but the more he fights it, the stronger it gets. Because real emotion doesn't fade when you ignore it, it grows. And the more he tries to convince himself he's fine, the more obvious it becomes that he's not. When a man is truly fighting his emotions, he becomes restless. You'll see it in the way he keeps coming back, in the way he lingers. He's searching for balance between what he wants and what he fears. And sometimes that distance is his way of testing himself, seeing if he can stay away, seeing if he can silence that voice in his heart that keeps calling your name. But the truth is, if you've already gotten into his emotions, distance doesn't erase you. It only deepens the memory of you. A man can't fake consistency. He can fake interest. He can fake words, but he can't fake patterns. So when he keeps showing up, even in small ways, even while pretending to be distant, that's him giving himself away. That's him saying, I'm trying not to care, but I do. And that fight inside him is not against you. It's against himself. He's fighting the part of him that wants to surrender to something real, because surrender means letting go of control. But love, real love, always requires surrender. He might act tough, but every time he sees something that reminds him of you, that guard slips. Every time he hears your voice or remembers your laugh, that wall cracks a little more. He might try to distract himself with work, friends, or attention from others, but nothing hits the same. Because you don't forget someone who made you feel seen. You don't move on from someone who brought you peace. That's why he stays consistent, even while pretending to be distant. Because you left a mark. A distant man who's consistent is a man torn between fear and feeling. Fear tells him to stay away. Feeling tells him to hold on. Fear tells him he'll get hurt. Feeling tells him it's worth it. That's the storm he's living in. And until he faces those feelings, that conflict will keep showing up. But one thing's for sure, you don't fight feelings that don't exist. If he's fighting them, it's because they're real. And deep down, he knows it. Men don't chase what they don't think about. When a man's mind is quiet about you, you'll know it because he'll vanish like you never existed. But when you've gotten inside his head, even when he tries to pull away, you'll still see little signs that you're on his mind. He might not be blowing up your phone, but he's watching your every move. He's checking your stories. He's remembering your laugh. He's replaying the way you made him feel. A man doesn't invest time or attention into something that means nothing. So when he's distant but still keeping track of you, that's not coincidence. That's emotion in disguise. You've planted a thought that doesn't leave easily. You've become the song stuck in his head that keeps replaying no matter how much he tries to change the station. See, most women misunderstand silence. They take it as indifference, but sometimes silence is obsession without confession. A man who's thinking about you won't always say it. He'll hold back his words because he doesn't want to expose how much power you've got over him. He'll try to look unbothered, but his curiosity gives him away. When a man is genuinely done, he doesn't look back. He doesn't ask mutual friends about you. He doesn't remember your birthday. He doesn't care who you're talking to. But if he's still peeking, still reacting, still listening to the echo of your presence, then trust me, you're in his head more than he'll ever admit. Men have a rhythm to their behavior. When they're uninterested, they move in straight lines, they leave, they forget, they replace. But when they're emotionally attached, that rhythm breaks. He'll disappear and come back, act cold then warm again, pretend he's over it, but show up just when you start to move on. That's not random, that's emotion trying to find balance. He's trying to convince himself that you don't matter, but every time he tries to stay away, something reminds him of you. It could be a scent, a song, a phrase you used to say, and suddenly he's back in that feeling again. That's how you know you're in his head. You've become a memory that doesn't fade, a thought that keeps interrupting his peace. You don't have to chase a man who's already thinking about you because your energy does that for you. The way you made him feel follows him. It lingers in his quiet moments, when he's driving alone, when he's scrolling late at night, when he's lying in bed trying to fall asleep. Those are the times your name starts echoing. He'll think about the way you smiled when he said something funny, the way your eyes looked when you were serious, the way you made him feel understood without words. And he'll miss that peace, even if he doesn't admit it out loud, because a woman who gives a man emotional comfort doesn't leave his thoughts easily. She becomes the safe place he keeps coming back to mentally, even if he's too proud to return physically. A man may try to replace you, but he won't stop thinking about you if the connection was real. He can go out, meet new people, even date someone new, but nothing will feel the same. Because chemistry can be copied, but connection can't. When a man truly feels seen and valued by a woman, it marks him in ways that time can't erase. He might go through phases of distraction, but the thought of you will always resurface when he's quiet, when he's honest, when life slows down enough for him to face what he feels. That's when he'll start thinking about what went wrong, what he could have done differently, and why he still can't stop remembering you. You know you're in his head when he starts showing signs of emotional contradiction. He'll act like he's happy, but his eyes will give him away. He'll be around people, but you'll feel his energy still attached to you. He might even start acting defensive, pretending he's over it just to prove it to himself. But when someone truly stops caring, they don't need to perform peace. The performance is proof that he's still affected. He's trying to convince the world he's fine because inside, he's fighting the truth that he's not. When you've touched a man's mind, not just his heart, you stay with him differently. You live in his thoughts like a lesson, like a reminder, like a voice he can't mute. He'll think about the things you said that challenged him, the advice you gave that stuck, the way you saw potential in him, even when he doubted himself. Those are not things he can replace with attention from someone else. They stay because they meant something deeper than attraction. They touched something spiritual in him. And that's why even when he tries to stay distant, your energy still follows him around. Men don't chase what they don't think about because real interest doesn't die with distance. A man might slow down his chase, but if you're in his thoughts, you're still in his world. His pride might keep him from reaching out, but it won't keep him from remembering. And when the mind remembers, the heart never fully moves on. Every time he sees someone who reminds him of you, every time he hears your name, every time he stumbles across something that connects to you, his mind pauses. It's that split second of recognition that says, she's still there. That's not weakness, that's the echo of a real connection. So when a man stops calling but doesn't stop watching, when he acts cold but his energy stays warm, when he keeps showing up in quiet ways, that's your confirmation. You're not gone from his world. You've just taken residence in his thoughts. And thoughts are powerful because they turn into actions eventually. You don't have to chase a man who's thinking about you because eventually those thoughts will pull him right back toward the one woman he couldn't forget, no matter how far he tried to run. When you're in a man's head, you'll see it in his hesitation. That hesitation isn't weakness. It's emotion trying to find its way through pride. It's that pause before he texts you, that silence after he says he's fine, that moment of confusion in his eyes when he sees you again. A man who doesn't care moves with certainty. He says what he wants, He does what he wants. He leaves when he wants. But a man who's emotionally conflicted, who's trying to manage feelings he didn't plan for, starts to hesitate. He'll type a message and delete it. He'll think about calling you but talk himself out of it. He'll plan to stay distant but find reasons to check your page anyway. That's the power of emotion. It slows a man down. It makes him overthink. It humbles his certainty. When a man starts hesitating, it's because he's caught between logic and longing. His mind tells him to move on, but his heart keeps whispering your name. He tells himself he's done, but somehow you're still showing up in his thoughts, in his dreams, in random moments of the day when he least expects it. That's not confusion, that's connection. You've reached a part of him that isn't used to being touched. You've become a feeling he can't categorize, something that feels too real to ignore, but too risky to admit. So he hesitates, not because he doesn't want you, but because he's afraid of how much he does. Hesitation in a man is the evidence of emotional impact. When he pauses before he texts, it's not just because he's busy. It's because he's replaying every word you said, every moment you shared, trying to make sense of why it still matters. He's thinking about how you'd react, whether you'd respond, whether it's too soon, whether it's too late. That's the kind of overthinking only real feelings cause. And the more he feels, the more he hesitates, because deep emotion makes a man aware of his own vulnerability. It reminds him that one wrong move could expose how much he cares. Sometimes that hesitation shows up as inconsistency. One day he's warm, the next day he's distant. One moment he's reaching out, the next he's silent. But that inconsistency isn't a game, it's a struggle. He's battling himself, trying to balance between wanting you and wanting control. He wants to reach out, but his pride pulls him back. He wants to move on, but his heart keeps circling back to you. That's why you'll feel that back and forth energy. He's not sure how to handle something that feels both beautiful and scary. A man who's never been truly moved will never hesitate. But when a woman touches something deep inside him, he can't help it. You'll see it in his eyes when he looks at you, in the way his tone changes when he speaks your name, in the way his demeanor shifts when you enter the room. He's not the same calm, confident man anymore. You've become the variable that his logic can't calculate. You've shaken the rhythm of his peace. Now he's trying to act like he's fine while his heart's quietly panicking, trying to figure out how he let someone get this close. When you're in a man's head, his hesitation becomes the language of his emotions. He might not confess his feelings, but he'll reveal them through pauses. He'll wait longer to reply because he's scared to sound too eager. He'll linger around conversations, hoping you'll notice the effort behind his small talk. He'll say he's not ready for anything serious, but his actions will show that he already feels something serious. That's the duality of a man who's caught between desire and defense. He's protecting himself from the same emotions that are quietly transforming him. Hesitation often comes from fear of rejection, fear of losing control, fear of repeating past mistakes. Maybe he's been hurt before. Maybe he told himself he wouldn't feel this way again. Then you came along, and now he's confused because he feels something genuine when he wasn't looking for it. He's not ready to surrender, but he's too invested to walk away. So he does what most men do when emotions overpower reason. He hesitates. He hides behind silence. He delays, he avoids, he waits for clarity that will never come without vulnerability. If you've ever wondered why a man seems unsure, it's because feelings make him human again. You remind him of the part of himself that still believes in connection, in chemistry, in comfort. And that realization makes him nervous. He'll hesitate before opening up because he knows once he does, he's exposed. He knows that once he admits he cares, he's giving you the power to hurt him. And that's not something a guarded man takes lightly. But here's the thing, hesitation doesn't mean disinterest. It means he's thinking, he's processing, he's feeling more than he's saying. When he hesitates to text, it's because your name still holds weight. When he pauses before walking away, it's because part of him doesn't want to. When he acts unsure, it's because something about you feels irreplaceable. That hesitation is where love starts to grow quietly, beneath pride and logic. It's that invisible tug that keeps pulling him toward you even when he's trying to let go. And the beauty of hesitation is that it's honest. You can fake confidence, you can fake indifference, but you can't fake the way someone hesitates when their heart gets involved. That small pause, that deep breath before a message, that long silence after a conversation, it's all emotion trying to find the courage to speak. And when you're the reason for that pause, that's how you know you've made an impact. Because a man doesn't hesitate over something he doesn't care about. He hesitates because his feelings have taken the lead, and for the first time, he's not sure if he wants to fight them or finally let them win. A man who's hooked hides behind pride. Pride becomes his armor, his disguise, the mask he wears so he doesn't have to admit how deep his feelings go. When a man falls for someone and starts to feel that loss of emotional control, the first thing he reaches for isn't honesty, it's pride. He starts acting like he's unbothered, like he's too focused on his goals, like he doesn't have time for love or emotions. But behind that calm face and controlled attitude, there's a storm. Pride is his way of pretending he doesn't care when, in reality, he's overthinking everything. He's checking your stories, remembering your words, comparing every new person to you, and still telling himself he's fine. That's not confidence, that's emotional cover-up. He's not detached, he's defensive, because real feelings make him feel exposed. Pride makes a man act strong when he's actually scared. Scared of rejection, scared of being vulnerable, scared of looking weak. Society tells men not to feel too much, not to show emotion, not to need anyone. So when a woman comes along and shakes that foundation, he doesn't know what to do. He feels drawn to her energy, but his pride whispers, "Don't let her see how much you care." That's when the mixed signals begin. He pulls away, then comes back. He acts distant, then shows up like nothing happened. That's pride wrestling with affection. It's his ego trying to manage what his heart has already decided. When a man hides behind pride, you'll notice it in the way he speaks. He'll talk like he's in control, like nothing phases him, but his actions will betray him. He'll say he's moving on, yet he'll keep bringing your name up in conversations. He'll act like he doesn't notice you, but his energy will change the moment you walk into the room. Pride will make him pretend you don't matter, but his body language will tell another story. Because no matter how hard he tries to hide it, emotions have a way of leaking through behavior. His pride might silence his words, but his eyes will always tell the truth. When a man is hooked, pride becomes his last defense. He uses it to protect himself from the power you hold over him. He tells himself he's not attached, that he can walk away whenever he wants. But if that were true, he wouldn't still be watching, remembering, or reacting. Pride is his attempt to stay in control of something that's already taken control of him. He acts tough because deep down he knows that if he lets that guard down, he's completely yours. And that thought terrifies him because love requires surrender, and surrender requires trust. So he hides behind the image of strength, even when he's falling apart inside. Sometimes pride makes a man act cold when he actually wants to come closer. He'll ignore your message just to see if you'll double text. He'll stay silent just to prove to himself he can. He'll act like he's fine, but the silence will eat at him. That's the funny thing about pride. It gives temporary satisfaction, but long-term regret. He'll sit there replaying moments, wishing he'd said something, wishing he'd dropped the act, but pride won't let him. Pride convinces him that emotion is weakness when, in truth, it's the most human thing about him. A man who hides behind pride will often try to distract himself. He'll throw himself into work, hobbies, or new people, trying to prove to himself he's moved on. But no matter how busy he gets, he'll always have those quiet moments where you cross his mind. He might be out with friends laughing, but when he's alone, he feels that silence. And in that silence, pride loses its strength because the heart starts speaking again. That's when he realizes no amount of pretending can erase what's real. Pride also shows up in his stubbornness. He won't apologize first, even when he knows he's wrong. He won't admit he misses you, even when he's checking his phone hoping you'll text. He'll say he's over it, but the sound of your name will still make him tense up. Pride makes him choose distance over vulnerability, silence over communication. But it's not because he doesn't care. It's because caring deeply makes him feel exposed, and exposure scares him more than loneliness. You'll see the cracks in his pride when something reminds him of you. Maybe it's a song you both loved. Maybe it's a place you used to go together. In that moment, the act fades, and you'll see that flash of softness he tries to hide. He'll try to shake it off, pretend it didn't hit him, but it did. That's how pride works. It hides emotion, but it can't erase it. He can wear the mask all he wants, but feelings have a way of finding their way through. When a man truly cares, pride becomes heavy. It keeps him from saying what he wants to say, from doing what he wants to do. He might think pride protects him from getting hurt, but in reality, it's what keeps him hurting. Because pride might save his ego, but it costs him connection. It costs him peace. It costs him the chance to be honest about what he feels. And even though he'll act like he's fine, deep down he knows that pretending not to care is harder than admitting that he does. Eventually, pride starts to crack under the weight of emotion. He starts realizing that silence doesn't make him stronger, it makes him lonelier. He starts realizing that pretending not to care doesn't erase the feelings, it just buries them deeper. And the more he hides, the more it shows, because pride can only protect him from one thing, his own vulnerability, but it can't protect him from love. And when he's hooked, love becomes the one thing his pride can't completely hide. When a man is truly hooked, he starts fighting a quiet battle with himself. You'll see it in his hesitation, in the way he pulls back when things get too real, in the way he suddenly becomes inconsistent. One moment open, the next withdrawn. That's not confusion, that's fear. Fear of losing control, fear of being vulnerable, fear of falling too deep into something he can't manage. When a man has spent years teaching himself to be in charge, to never let emotions steer his decisions, love becomes a challenge to his entire system. He's not distant because he doesn't care. He's distant because caring this much makes him feel powerless. It's not that he doesn't feel, it's that he feels too much and doesn't know what to do with it. A man who's hooked will often retreat into silence when his emotions overwhelm him. That silence isn't absence, it's processing. He's trying to understand why this connection feels different, why it's not as easy to walk away as it used to be. He may not say much, but inside he's replaying conversations, analyzing every word you said, every glance you gave, trying to find a logical explanation for something that can't be explained logically. Love doesn't make sense to him the way goals, money, and plans do. Love shakes him, softens him, makes him vulnerable, and that scares him more than failure ever could. He's used to fixing things, but love isn't something you fix, it's something you feel, and that's where his inner struggle begins. He starts acting like he's in control, pretending he's detached, but the truth is that his mind keeps circling back to you no matter how far he runs. He thinks about you when he wakes up, checks your profile without meaning to, feels that pang in his chest when he sees something that reminds him of you. But he won't admit it. He tells himself he's fine, that he's focused, that this is just a passing phase, yet his emotions say otherwise. He's torn between wanting to be near you and wanting to protect himself. That's why his actions sometimes don't match his words, because his heart and his pride are at war. The emotional battle inside a man who's hooked can make him seem distant, even cold. But look deeper and you'll see the signs. He listens more carefully when you talk, even if he pretends he doesn't care. He remembers small things you said long ago. He notices details about you that others overlook. He might not say, "I miss you," but he shows it in subtle ways, asking mutual friends how you're doing, checking your last scene, showing up where he knows you'll be, pretending it's a coincidence. His pride won't let him confess what he feels, but his behavior will always give him away. When a man is emotionally hooked, he tries to distract himself with logic. He convinces himself to stay busy, to bury the feelings under routine. He might throw himself into work, into the gym, into friends, anything that keeps him from sitting in silence too long, because silence is dangerous. In silence, his heart speaks louder than his mind. And deep down, he knows that no matter how much he hides, he can't unfeel something that's already taken root in his soul. That's why even when he acts distant, his energy betrays him. You can feel it when he's around. The tension, the hesitation, the unspoken words hang in the air. It's not detachment, it's suppression. He's not running from you, he's running from himself. This emotional conflict makes him inconsistent. One day he's warm, the next he's cold. One day he reaches out, the next he disappears. It's not manipulation, it's confusion. He's trying to find balance between what he feels and what he can handle. He doesn't want to lose you, but he's terrified of losing control over himself. So he builds walls to feel safe. But even behind those walls, he still watches you, still wonders about you, still feels connected. He might not talk, but he's always thinking. His silence isn't rejection. It's resistance to the power you hold over his emotions. Inside every distant man who's hooked is a voice saying, "Don't fall too deep." That voice comes from experience, from heartbreak, from moments when he gave too much and got too little in return. It's a form of self-protection. But love doesn't follow rules. The more he tries to resist, the more it pulls him in. He starts realizing that distance doesn't erase feelings, it amplifies them. The absence makes him think more, miss more, feel more. And slowly, he begins to understand that this battle he's fighting isn't with you. It's with himself. He might tell himself he's not ready, that now isn't the right time, that he's focused on other things. But those are just excuses his mind creates to keep his heart in check. Because when he's truly hooked, no amount of reasoning can undo what he feels. He might try to date others to prove he's moved on, but no one feels the same, no one speaks the same way, makes him laugh the same way, or gives him the same sense of peace and chaos that you do. He can fake detachment for the world, but when he's alone, the truth always finds him. The emotional battle inside him doesn't make him weak. It makes him human. It's the proof that he cares more than he's willing to admit. And while he may act distant, while he may hide behind silence and pride, every heartbeat, every hesitation, every unspoken thought reveals the truth: he's hooked. He's trying to maintain control in a situation where his heart already made the decision. And no matter how much he pretends otherwise, deep down he knows the fight he's fighting isn't to forget you. It's to stop himself from falling even deeper.